Hey, Bryce Tubbs here. Today, let's talk about 3 tips to sell higher price packages. So let me share my screen because I took some pretty detailed notes. I want to make sure that hit every single point, don't leave any piece of value out. So I got asked this question last week, so I decided to share the answer with you. Now, the person asked, like, why are you able to sell your accounting and bookkeeping services for between, $1,000 to $3,000 per month plus, while most people are struggling to, charge even $500 per month? Now, one thing to note, like if you ever ask the question inside of like the comments, we do read your comments. We might not always answer every single comment that gets put out there, but we do read the comments. So if you ever have like a question or a video that you want me to talk about, put it inside the comment section. If it makes sense, then we'll make a detailed video about it to help you out and give you as much help as you can as a way of saying thank you for watching our videos and for supporting the channel. Now, keep in mind, now I was not a natural at growing, my business. It took me about 15 months before I ever reached, $15,000 per month inside of my accounting and bookkeeping business. Now, we have students in our mentorship program, of course, hitting, 12K, 15K per month, and as little as like 32 to 67 days in some cases. But for me, that was not the case. I took a long time for me to even like realize that mentorship was an option and that I could, pay people to help me grow my business a lot faster and really just like avoid a lot of the mistakes. So if you want some help, also we do have our mentorship program. It is open for enrollment right now. We do have a couple more spots available that we are taking on students. Now, if you want some help growing your business, click on the link inside the description below. See if our program is a good fit for you. It's going to take you to a link to my calendar. You can schedule a time if there are any available. And then once you are there, we're going to have a call. It's basically like, where are you right now? Where do you want to go? And if I think it can help you out, and I'll outline like what the process would look like for us to work together. And then we can talk payment. We can get you started right then and there, and then we onboard you towards your goals and towards your dreams. So that's you. I'll see you on the call. So back to the video. Now, it was extremely hard for me in the beginning because I was really fearful of talking to business owners. Like, at least when you're starting, like I was bound with a lot of like confidence. I didn't have a million years of experience inside of the business, like some of our competitors. I didn't really know anything about sales. I thought that salespeople were bad. I thought that you had to like be high pressure. That you had to like learn like very specific lines, and I didn't know any of the lines, so I just was very, very, very hard for me to get clients and business owners to want to work with me. So when I was first starting, like we started in 2015, so I would try and sell my services. It was like on average for about like $400 per month, and I did 36 consultation calls, and only one person out of those first 36 consultation calls I did said yes. It was a cleanup for cleanup project was like a 3-year duration, and I charged $1,700 total for that. Now that's extremely low. Now that $1,700 like on its own might seem like an okay amount of money, but that really equates to $47.20 per month that I cleaned up for that cleanup. And at that point, I was just looking for anyone to say yes, and I didn't care how low. I just wanted to get my first client. Now, those first 36 no's, it was very, very, very ridiculous. Now, I remember a few times where the business owner would just would treat me with such low respect, right? And I remember waiting outside of like for example, I sometimes would go and like actually try and like cold door knock the business owners. That just means I would go to their office, right, with no appointments scheduled. So in this particular case, I remember waiting outside this construction guy's office. So I had an appointment with him. I think I had like cold call. I said, "Yeah, come over to my office." So I waited outside of his office for an hour. Like those blinds, the blinds were open. I could see the guy inside the office, and I had to wait an hour only for him. Like his secretary came out oh, he changed his mind and didn't want to speak to me anymore, right? And that was so bad, right? Or we would do like 45-minute calls at the end, like the person would be like nodding their head, smiling the whole conversation. Now say my price, and they give me like a bunch of weird excuses like why they didn't want to get started with me. Like it always felt like I'd be so close to them to say yes, but it just wouldn't say yes. Like it always feels like, especially when you're starting out, right? Here's the misconception people have with growing this type of business. It always feels like you're close until you close. So you either are close or you closed. You're either close or you close, right? And it always feels like you're so close. Like, oh my gosh, the person always said yes. And there's a lot of hidden things that might cause someone to say no that you're just not aware of that causes you to always feel like you're right there. And that a lot of people like they kind of chase almost call it like chasing the dragon, where it's like, I'm so close. If I just keep like doing the same exact thing, I'll eventually get a client. And I mean, you might get one client, but I mean, after about 6 months, a year in the business, year and a half, like hopefully you won't have more clients than just one client, right? That's why you watch videos like this, why you implement this stuff in Pattern. You don't have to make those same mistakes that we did when we were starting. So, you know, sometimes here's the other thing too, especially when I say like you're either close or you're close. Sometimes I would say yes and then not pay the invoice and disappear like a ghost in the night. So for example, here the first and like most distinct time this happened was like it was probably like June of 2015. I distinctly remember this, right? There was these two ladies. No, remember, I can't remember I think it was like Desiree and like Jasmine, I think it was. Desiree and Jasmine. So they were basically a therapy company, like a mental health therapy. And there was two partners. So one, Jasmine, she was the lady who was like, "Oh, I love this. This is awesome. Let's do it." But I could never get Desiree on the phone with Jasmine, right? It'd always be Jasmine will get on the phone. Oh, sorry, Desiree's busy. Oh, something happened with Desiree, or Desiree joined the call, and like something would happen with their phone connection. She would like log off. And it was funny. So Jazz was like, I'm ready to do it. We just have to make sure like Desiree is ready to go. Like, let's send over the contract. We're good to go. And then I actually did a second call with Desiree by herself because for whatever reason Jasmine was able to do it. And Desiree was totally the opposite. Like, well, that's a lot of money. Jasmine always like wants to do stuff, but she's never really the one footing the bill for this stuff. And that's when I was like, oh crap. And that just ended up not working, right? Because the first time, so Jasmine said, hey, send over the contract. We're ready to go. We can probably do like 650 a month. And I was like, okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. I sent up the contract, no reply for a good 45 days. And it wasn't until I like kept following up and somehow I got Desiree's number. I spoke to Desiree. That's when she said, Jasmine always wants to get started with stuff, just random stuff. But I have to go and foot the bill because we're not really making a lot of money yet. And that's where like, ooh, this is not a go. And it was just so rough. But that's the kind of stuff that happens when you're starting out. Now, there's really three things that changed it for me. Now, the first thing is that I had to learn how to strategically listen. Okay, so most people who struggle to sell their services, at higher prices, that they sell the service without having the proper context that is needed to customize your presentation. So you should never present your service in a consultation call until you know the other person's pain points. Now, this might sound very basic if you have any background in sales, okay? Now, do not assume that you know their pain and do not start talking about your service in the first 5 seconds of the conversation, even when they tell me or even when they say like tell me about your service. So sometimes one thing that like it's a trap that happens, especially if you're dealing with like a business owner that says they don't have a lot of time, is they might say stuff like, "Oh yeah, I really want to do this. Just tell me about what you do, or tell me about yourself, or how can you help me?" Okay, never give them the full spiel there. They do not have enough pain, not enough agitation. There's not enough time to create value. There is no understanding. There is no cost of it. Like there's not enough gas in your proverbial rocket ship to take it over the hump to be able to get someone to pay you a high amount of money there. That's even if it is referral, even if they come with a credit card in their hand, even if they are making $1 billion and they just got started 20,000 years ago. Like, I don't care. Do not fall for that trap. Instead, give them a short answer and start asking questions to understand the situation. Okay. This is in some cases called deflection. I call it dancing around the point because you never want to just like and some you never really want to be like, oh, I can get to that later. I first need to ask some questions. More like, yeah, we do accounting, bookkeeping, where we're really looking to help you like maximize your profits, become very efficient, know exactly where your money's going. But a little bit more about like so then you go into your question. So it's like you have a pre kind of like thought of answer, but then it basically doesn't really say much or give much detail. It just kind of answers the question and gives you opportunity for you to answer your own question. Now, again, if you don't start asking questions, you're going to have a lot of trouble because you're going to start saying stuff and spouting stuff that you think every client wants, but for this particular client, it's probably not going to be very relevant. So when this happens, they end up nodding their head and they might sound interested. They might be like, yep, yep, yep. But then at the end of the call, they say, let me get back with you. So first things first, you have to ask questions like, how long have you been trying to fix your accounting? What have you tried in the past to fix it? Have you ever had an accountant slash bookkeeper? How did that turn out? Now you need to ask this so you can know exactly what they don't like for the specific question. Another thing is, you need to learn how to sit inside of the pain. So problem number two or tip number two is learn how to sit in pain. Slow down when it's time for them to talk about the pain. So most people enter the consultation and directly ask things like, "So, how many transactions do you have? How many bank accounts do you have?" Right? Those are more of like questions you can utilize to price out your services, especially if you're using a pricing calculator like the tool that we give to students in our program. But it's not the right time. You need to first get paid. Okay, it's not about asking. These are called transactional questions, and the business owner will start to feel like they're ordering off a menu. So, like if you just start asking how many transactions do you have, how many bank accounts do you have, how many do you have any loans, it's just gonna be me and you talking. Do you have any credit card? Like those questions make the business owner start thinking they're just ordering off a menu. And whenever someone is ordering off a menu, they generally are looking for the cheapest price. Now, people who are successful get a feel for the client's views, beliefs, and current situation. Now, successful people are really great at getting to the core of the potential client. Right now, once you find that pain, do not do the nervous laugh. Now, the nervous laugh is when they tell you something deep and dark about their business, like they've been feeling super overwhelmed, or they just don't know what they're doing, or if they don't fix this problem, they're gonna go bankrupt, or they don't really know because like something bad. Like anytime they tell you something bad or negative, do not nervously laugh because oftentimes they will laugh. Do not laugh with them. You just sit down, relax, and not change your expressions. Be completely stone solid. The reason why they do that nervous laugh is because they're trying to dissipate that tension. You need a little bit of tension in order for them to really face the reality of how bad the situation is. If they don't fix the situation, things are not going to improve. Now, the biggest challenge that you actually are facing is that a lot of people do not really understand why they need accounting and bookkeeping outside of taxes, right? So they'll think, oh, I just need to know about like the tax return. But if you're selling high ticket bookkeeping, CFO, um, anything like that, ARAP, payroll, right? In a lot of cases, they don't really understand why they need someone else to do it, unless they're a big company that already have someone doing it, right? So you need to have them sit inside of that pain so they fully understand it. Okay. Now, this pain is the activation energy needed in order to cause them to move forward to really see the situation. Without it, they nonchalantly walk off to the next person. So they just basically just keep like walking, walking, walking until he's the next person. And then it's just like until one accountant bookkeeper gets them to accurately understand like the pain and the problem they're facing, and then they end up paying them like 10 times more than what you ever quoted them. Now, ultimately, the pain is important. Without the pain or a problem, no one's gonna actually work with you. You have to find the problem that they came on the phone to solve. Okay, everyone comes on your consultation calls because they're looking to solve a problem. Okay, if they leave the consultation call without solving that problem, that does not mean that we're not serious. That in a lot of cases means that you are not really able to get them to see why you are the person that they should be paying the money to, because they're gonna go pay the money to somebody. Okay, it's either going to pay a little bit of money to someone who has no confidence, or they're going to pay a lot of money to someone like me who's really good at sales and is really good at getting people to see the value. Now, the third thing is you need to learn how to be comfortable in silence. Okay. Now, this is another big thing. Not only to be able to sit in the pain, right? You have to be able to be comfortable in silence. Now, this is a big struggle for me because as soon as someone, would say that my price is too high, I would go into a panic. I would immediately jump in to either defend myself, prove myself, show off my credentials, lower the price. I was just so desperate to try to get them to work with me. Oftentimes I would say things like, well, how much will you want to pay? Well, this is why you need clean financials. If you don't get things fixed, like these are all of the things that can happen to you. Like, yeah, I can do hourly instead. I would just immediately just abandon my plan and my goals, and it would just be crazy. Okay, then this would lead them to not really respect my pricing or me. And ultimately, it made me feel like one of their lowest paid employees at the company, right? Because oftentimes, if you start just really kind of losing the frame and you start really being like, oh my gosh, I need to sell, I need to sell, I need to sell, that's when they start saying things like, well, what if we could do it like less? Or what if you came into the office? Or, what if we did this? Can you also do this? Can you it just what if I have a question? Can I call you at any time of the night? Can you come? Like, just all these different things start happening when you feel like you need to make the sale way too much, right? So nowadays, I know that whenever someone makes an outburst after you've talked about your pricing, in a lot of cases, it's not really about you. Okay. They're more talking to themselves to rationalize why they're going to make the decision. Now, when you talk about the bigger companies, the outbursts tend to be a lot smaller than when you're talking to like a startup. What that basically means is like a startup business owner that's never really like spent a lot of money on their business. Like if you say it's like 1,000 a month, like they might have a panic attack, right? And sometimes they can be kind of mean, sometimes they can get just freak out, and it's just like this blow up, right? As a business owner is a lot more like established and their cash flow is better. They're used to paying for stuff in the business and they just understand that there are certain certain costs that are needed in order for a business to run. Those outbursts are a lot smaller because it's just part of the game, right? So six-figure businesses oftentimes aren't used to spending money like eight-figure businesses are. So you have to let them rationalize like why this is important. Let them have the little inner their it's like an outer inner dialogue. So it's an inner dialogue they're having with themselves. They just happen to be saying it out loud in a lot of cases. Now, don't feel like you're coming under attack. Relax and breathe. Relax and breathe. Take a deep breath. That's one thing on my note sheet whenever I don't really do it as much anymore because I really don't feel a panic in a lot of cases if someone says the price too high. I don't know if that's like just because I've just done so many consultation calls, or I just don't really care if someone doesn't want to pay me money. It's not really that big of a deal at this point, right? But when I was first getting started, like I would always have like a note sheet, and I was just like, right, breathe and relax, right, and just it would just calm me down, and it just made it a lot easier for me to do the steps that are needed in order to help someone really overcome those like internal dialogues together. Now, this is not a silver bullet. It does not work 100% of the time. Sometimes they're actually going to be talking to you and saying that's way too much, right? Now, to get around this, you can ask a few leading questions, understand why they're saying that, and then you can handle the situation from there. I hope this helps. Now, we have other videos on this channel that actually talk about like the leading questions. You should probably look at another video that's like with the blue outline with like the business doctor kind of series. So let me know if you have any questions or thoughts inside the comments. Now, also, if you want some help growing your business, and reaching your goals in the shortest period of time possible. Like if you want help doing that, you're tired of like really hitting your head against the wall, trying to do stuff, maybe even trying to or thinking about getting started. You just don't really know what to do, or you're just kind of overwhelmed, or maybe you've been started, you're just not really growing at the speed with which you want because you're noticing you're lacking a number of skills, right? I just advise you click on the link inside the description below, book a call with me, see if I can help you out. Now, I can't help everybody, right? We do select, out of the applicants that apply, we are pretty selective with it because we want to make sure we can actually help the people that come on the consultation call and actually join our program. So if you're a good fit, then I'm going to tell you how the program works. We're going to outline a custom program for you, and then we're going to talk pricing. And if it makes sense, for all parties involved, then you can get started. If it's not the right time for a reason, or money's a little bit tight, then what we can do is we can make an alternative plan for how you can start in the future and what you can do to grow your business in the meantime, or waiting to work together. Now, some people wait to go and do this call. They end up running out of steam, end up like living in the same spot for years when like all they have to do is just reach out, get help, and finally get the life they want. So if you want to avoid being like that, where it's just like you're just trying, for whatever reason it's not working, you just fizzle out, book the call. You have nothing to lose. Now, also, if money's tight, this is the really big thing, right? So if money is really tight right now and you're afraid that maybe the program's going to be out of your budget, we do have different payment partners that can help get you funded. So you can get your foot in the door to start the program and then get off to the races. So it allows you to be able to like split up the payments anywhere between like 3 months to 12 months for the one partner. The other partner can be anywhere from like 3 months to like 36 months. So like the payment structure can just be tweaked in a lot of different ways to make sure that you can at least get your foot in the door. Then when you start getting your clients, you just pay off the rest of the payment plan, whatever, and you're able to go get off to the races. So you never want money to be the one thing that causes someone not to make it. So you do have to qualify, for the payment partner because they are pretty strict. But if you do, you're able to go and split it up. So if you want some help, go ahead and click on the link inside the description below. If not, I will see you inside the next video, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy. Talk to you soon.